I'm here for moral support.
I'm going to call to order the council workshop of April 7th, 2022, 5:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda is Moorfield Electric presenting a solar proposal for the city buildings. If you would please come to the.
Okay, all right, appreciate it. Mike Moorfield with Moorfield Electric, and here today with Moorfield Solar. Bob Martin's alongside with me. If you guys, Bob, you want to introduce yourself real quick as far as?
Yeah, Bob Martin. I've worked with a utility company for about 35 years. I just recently retired and came on with Mike to try to move some solar product here.
Well, the reason I like Bob to introduce himself because he worked for Alliant Energy, so that comes to play in a little bit later in the conversation. So try to get this thing to go for me. Okay, I thought I had it figured out. We're not quite jiving. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. It's on my computer, but it's not on the screen for you guys. Well, this is embarrassing.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
Yep.
Ah, there it went.
Late. All right. Okay. Real quick about our company. Primarily, we're electrical contractors. 60-70% of what we do is commercial grade electrical construction. A good example of that is next week, we're going to start your airport runway lighting improvement project. Also here in town, Aldi's, McDonald's, things like that, the SID Center. So we've done quite a bit of work in this area since 2006. We have roughly 50 employees on payroll. Again, most of those are electricians. Also, we've got an underground side. We do a lot of directional drilling. So Danville Telecom, when they come to the neighborhood, there's a good chance that we'll be the team putting those ducts in and that sort of thing. Complete side business we were discussing a little bit ago is Green Oak Development. We've got a housing development arm under our umbrella as well. And we do a lot of housing development in Lee County, Fort Madison, West Point specifically. Since 2014, we've built roughly $18 million in real estate. So we're certainly open to more opportunities there as well. Safety is in any contracting world is our number one goal. We've got an EMR rate of 0.75, 0 OSHA citations since 2014. So we're really happy with our safety record. And why we're here today, solar. So do you guys, can you see the screen or is? Oh, okay, good. That makes this a little easier. I felt like I was the only one looking at it. Okay, solar. We are not your typical startup solar contractor. We're very unique in the sense we take an approach that solar, when we incorporate solar to a building, we look at the whole building, the usage first. Solar is like losing weight. It's diet and exercise. You got to do them both if you want to do it accurately. So we're going to focus on building load as much as we are on the solar aspect. A lot of our competitors don't have electrical backgrounds, so they just stay away from the building usage. It's always going to be a lot more efficient and affordable install if you focus on the installation first. It certainly applies to a lot of your facilities, and we'll dig into that. Am I missing anything else there? All of our staff are electricians, licensed electricians. We do not take an approach where we subcontract any piece of the equation. We hang pride that 100% of the install is our men. Why we feel that's important is if there's ever a callback, if there's ever a warranty related issue, we're not going to do this. You know, it's our crew that did the install. We're going to stand behind it and make sure you're taken care of. So this is, I don't know. Oh, jump around. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Power purchase agreements. So what we're looking at here, guys, is a solar power purchase agreement. So you wouldn't be buying the solar system out of pocket. You would just be buying the power it produces. So here is just a generic drawing of how that can happen. Your building still stays connected to the utility through the power company, and you maintain that electrical meter. However, that electrical meter will flow electricity two different directions. You will get a point in a day where electricity flows back to the grid, and you actually get a credit for that production. On the other side, what you see there is the solar array feeding into the inverter, and then that power purchase agreement meter. So all the power that the solar system creates is being tracked in what goes into the building, but also what's going back to the grid. So the entire strategy here is we want to buy that electricity coming through that meter at a better rate than what you're currently paying from your utility company. So pretty straightforward in the concept. Is there any questions on that? And feel free to interrupt me. I probably even do better when you do, honestly. I get nervous in these situations. So. Why solar power purchase agreements? Number one, no out-of-pocket expenses. So funding of the project is 100% comes by reducing your existing electric bill and replacing it with this solar power purchase agreement. So again, absolutely zero out-of-pocket, no new expenditures. We're replacing your existing Alliant utility, and we're reducing that drastically and replacing it with a fee through the power purchase agreement. Warranty. We often get the question is, how does a warranty work? Who's got to work on my system if something goes down? Because of the business model of a power purchase agreement, you're simply buying the power that solar system creates. If something were to happen to that system, whether a windstorm damages the panels, whether there's an inverter failure or simply a breaker trips, it's the power purchase agreement provider's sole responsibility to get you back up and running so they can collect revenue for the system. So inherently, the warranty is built right into the business model, leaves you guys with no issues. Robert doesn't need to go get additional staff trained up to maintain it. The entire ownership is through the agreement.
So who actually owns the solar panels?
So
The inverter and all that?
Good question. So during the power purchase agreement, a third-party investor actually owns and maintains the equipment. At the end of the term, it would be turned over to the city.
Okay.
Yep.
I've got a question. What would happen if that company was to go out of business before a 20-year time span? What would that do to the warranty? What would that do to the equipment?
Be the best thing that ever happened to you because you quit getting the bill. Yeah, so that's a good question. It does come up often. They're taking all of the upfront risk and they're financing it over the 25 years. So there's no incentive for them to go away. But if for some reason they do, you're left with a system that's producing electricity. So that would be absolutely no downside to that. So.
How does that work as far as getting payback on that system? You get paid back
Me as a contractor or the city as a? Oh, good, great question. So we actually sell the system to a third-party investor. So there's a federal tax credit involved with all the solar. As a city, you're not able to capture those tax credits because there's not a tax liability. So a third-party investor captures that tax credit as a tool, and then they sell back the electricity to you. So, and I apologize. Well, actually, that's so the last point there. The indirect tax benefit is what's at play there. When you put it on paper, an outright buy for you losing the tax credit, you're going to be looking at like a 13, 14-year term before you get to a break-even standpoint. Now, granted, this is a 25-year contract, but you're saving a lot of money throughout the course of it. So if you were to put it out on paper, this would look more like 8 or 9. So you're capturing that tax credit indirectly. Great question. So a good example would be one of your facilities is going to average, call it 16 cents a kilowatt hour, 14 to 16 cents a kilowatt hour, and we'll actually get to a lot of that. You lock into a lower rate, a fixed rate, and then you're locking into a contract buy. And that's really the most important piece of this, because when you look at Alliant Energy specifically, what's happened with their rates in the last 5 years, you guys have seen 10%, 12%. You've seen some real drastic rate increases. So what you're doing is you're locking into a rate increase through a power purchase agreement. So great question. And the one we skipped over there is custom approach. What I truly appreciate is with a custom approach is we're able to do unique things in our design. That's going to come up when we talk about the SID Center in particular. When we talk about lighting upgrades, we certainly do power purchase agreements and we do engineered project. Last year we were at Lone Tree. It was an engineered project. Went well, everything's good, but watching the process, the engineer undersized the system by 30%, didn't attack any of the building loads. You know, of course, then there's that engineer and design fee there. You know what I mean? So it just really wasn't the best approach for the customer. We're going to work diligently to make sure that you're capturing the best ROI you can. And we kind of beat our heads against the wall and circled back on, SID Center specifically to make sure that we could come to the table with true savings. So, solar power purchase agreement examples. My favorite one is Southeastern Community College. The very first power purchase agreement we did, it would be the new IMT building here in Keokuk. Huge success. The very next year, SCC said let's expand on this. So we did buildings 100 through 500 SCC, and we actually partnered with Keokuk Catholic on their parcel of ground and put it on there. So Keokuk Catholic actually went from $13,000 electric bill to no spend in lieu of a land lease agreement. So just a great solution for all of those guys. That project wasn't even finished, and they said, let's get to Burlington and start attacking some of these properties up here. And that's where we did some solar carports in the parking lot and the health science building up there as well. So great partner for us. We were really good project. Lee County. So actually DHS office here in Keokuk, and then up the road at the Conservation Center, we've got a tracker up there, and then the North Lee County offices, we've got a rooftop there. Here's again where we got unique. 3 of the properties in this particular project, we didn't put solar on them. One of them would be is it Heritage here in town? I think we did a lighting upgrade there, and we passed that through this project. Heritage has some roof structural issues, and there might not be a 25-year strategy with that building. I'm not saying there isn't, but for that reason, we kind of stepped back from putting solar on it, but we didn't walk away from the lighting opportunity, and we brought it up underneath that project along with a couple others. So real good project there. Minneapolis school system. We finished up this project last year. I'm proud of it because there was a real big demand implication on the elementary school. That's one of the larger rooftop arrays that you're going to find in the Midwest. And we were able to bring that building out of demand, save those folks quite a bit of money. Neat project. And then the carport you see in the lower right-hand picture, that's a north and south facing carport. So we designed that with a wide tilt to capture the east-west sun, kind of a fun project. Keokuk YMCA. We just finished this project I think we were complete with construction in September, got turned on in early December. Unique project because that array is on the other side of the soccer field. So we used our directional drill team. It's 700 feet away from the building. The building service was end of life, brand new electrical service. Very, very big demand customer as well. We're spending this year, we're 3 months into this project, getting them out of demand for the first year, and then they're going to see an enormous savings. The Y, for example, they spend $42,000 in electricity last year. We're looking to offset all of that, so we're very proud of that project. Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, another PPA example. This one I just show off because it's trackers. So those are big 42 panel trackers that travel with the sun. They're unique. Honestly, that's what Bob has at his home. When real estate confinement comes to play, we look at the trackers as a solution. Good project. Mike Norris and the folks up there are real happy with that system. Now we're jumping into your projects. And I'm going to start off by saying I think we evaluated, Robert, you help me out, probably 65 electrical meters. Does that sound right? So we looked at everything from water department, parks. You've got a lot of street lighting meters, so every intersection's got a street lighting. Those you rule out because number one, there's no real estate to put them on. And there's just real minimal usage. So honestly, more than half your meters, there's just real minimal usage. It doesn't make sense to incorporate solar on. And then on the opposite side, when you get into a really big user like the water plant, you're getting into some demand charges, and solar doesn't net meter quite right unless we can pull them away from those demand charges. So we have to pull some of those off the docket as a result. And then we just look at real estate confinement and issues like that. So we felt like we went through all the properties really well, zeroed in on the ones that made a lot of sense. Grand Theater, this is one that Cole, I think and Kathy, we talked about, we want to circle back on because here's one that COVID hit, right? So the building got kind of quiet. So when we look at usage, we look at the last 2 years of usage. COVID did impact this one. So as a result, we've got a smaller system modeled at the moment, something we'd want to explore maybe increasing if it makes sense. So as a result, it's showing the lease savings. So here, each one of these slides, I'm going to show you kilowatt hour usage, the annual spend in dollars, and then what that average kilowatt hour rate is at that facility. So this particular facility, year one, $273 savings. Over the 30-year life of the system, $23,000. I'll be the first to tell you that's not a significant savings. Street department, getting into a little bit bigger systems. The annual spend there, $3,400. Annual savings of $709. Note that the average kilowatt hour there is 17.4 cents. So keep an eye on that number. It floats around from building to building. That's usually because of the time of year that you're using the most of your electricity. So PPAs can have better impacts when that kilowatt hour rate goes up. So animal shelter is one we added in. The $3,000 spend, year one savings, $734, 30-year life of the system, $63,000 savings with the animal shelter. City shop, $5,500 year spend, year one savings, $1,138, 30-year $97,000. Savings. Now, guys, I'm showing you year one savings. So that's what you're going to expect the year after the system. Note, this is the closest that the PPA rate and your existing utility rate are ever going to get to each other. The existing utility is going up at an average of 4% a year. Again, reference Alliant Energy. Is the company that's seen some back-to-back 10% increases. So 4% could be a conservative number. Your PPA is going to climb at 2.5 cents. So what's $1,100 the first year? Easily going to be $1,200 the following year, and that spread is going to continue to get better and better. So that's where your true savings is at in the power purchase agreement. Sewer department, spend there $3,700, kilowatt hour 17.6. Year one savings $1,268. 30-year life of the system, $110,000 savings. Oh, guys, I've done a poor job. Sorry. I put a note in there, I believe 6 of these projects, Bob. We've got an LED lighting upgrade included in the projects. This one is one of those 6. City Hall. This is actually, there was some controversy early on. I think you guys explored solar and were directed that it didn't have enough roof space. It actually does. It's a great product. You got a new roof on it. I would certainly recommend putting solar on this project. It is all current LED lighting, so there's no need for an upgrade in it. Annual spend. You guys moved in September of last year? Okay, so we still haven't seen a full year, but we've got enough that we can model. We got a pretty good feel of what you're going to spend. So we're assuming that you're going to spend about $10,300 in electricity here. In this power purchase agreement, we can save you $1,670. Library, this one I like. It's 158,000 kilowatt hours, $22,000 was your spend. Your fluorescent lighting here. We've got an opportunity here to save some energy with LED. So here's where we've incorporated the LED, and notice what we did with that savings. Now we see $5,000 savings. Keep in mind too, when we're talking about lighting upgrades, if you're running fluorescent lights, there's some maintenance going on there right now. There's some failures and replacement issues going on. As soon as all those lights switch over to LED, you're looking at a 5-year warranty. You're looking at a cooler running light fixture. So that's going to reduce some air conditioning load, light output. The quality of light's going to be better. So inherently, there's a lot of value just in the LED side of this project on top of the solar. Sanitation. The $7,300 in spend, year one savings of $2,000, 30-year life savings, $175,000, and does have a lighting upgrade in this one as well. Not a ton of lighting usage here, but it still warrants putting it in. Police and fire, great project. The usage, $18,000. You'll see that blended average kilowatt hour cost is down lower at 13.3 cents. However, we can still save the facility $2,500 and include a lighting upgrade. I believe, was that just the fire station? The police station was current.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Yep. So, but real nice project. Everything does fit on the roof. It is a large roof. SID Center. This is one I want to stop on. We were your electrical contractor when that renovation was going on, so familiar with the building and some of its challenges. It's a large user, primarily because of what it was in its previous life. There's a lot of infrastructure there to support. Well, it was a hospital originally, correct? Was it a hospital? Yeah. So there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure there to support the hospital. A lot of that infrastructure can be pulled back, will actually result in some utility savings. We spent quite a bit of time there doing some load studies on it. This is one that we would have to pull out of demand. It's using so much electricity. We would need a year of solar on it to get pulled back out of demand, and then we would see a savings of $23,000 per year. So we're going to take a $65,000 electric bill and take $23,000 out of it in a single year.
I have a question about this. So
Mhm.
when you guys did the audit, I mean, there's obviously ways for us to be able to reduce the load right now.
Yeah,
Is that included in this stuff or is that?
Yes. So the Cit Center has a very large HVAC system on it, and it's a single unit. So it's not quite as easy as, a similar size building. You can just go around and just isolate and shut things off.
Yeah.
You can't just
I've
shut
been
that.
trying to.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, so but there are some things that we can shut off that are just sitting there continuing to run with some transformer loads and things like that. So, yep. So we put some load monitoring on it, and
That's what I figured.
we're tagged into the internet on it, so we can we still can see what that building's doing consumption wise.
So I was gonna say, I think that should be able to operate with less.
Yes.
It's just, you have to figure out what's going on there.
And I'll be honest, this entire project sat on my lap for quite a while, and I was beating my head against the wall on that one. So I reached out to, and we sent guys down to figure out where's this electricity going, And we, being exposed to electric bills in buildings, we can see what it costs per square foot to run a building. So we compare them. It's like, what can we do to fix this issue? Yeah. So this one.
So you're continuing to monitor it right now, so that.
Yep. We've already taken a step in the right direction, and there's more steps that we can take. Then they start. I don't say it gets expensive, but we've got all those costs incurred in the solar project to do that, to isolate it. So that building, I think, has a 2,500 amp service. Is that probably larger than that, 3,000. So in a way, we're reducing some of that because your building usage is pretty minimal. It'll never be a hospital.
It will never be a hospital again. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, even when it ran this lab, the utilities, which they said were ridiculous, but I think it's because it was the infrastructure was built for a hospital, which is different.
You got it.
Okay,
You got
thank
it. So there's quite a bit of work there to make that happen, but it's all very doable. So we do like the project. We did run out of roof space on that project. So what you're seeing in the right-hand corner of that screen is a little carport. I think it's important to do that, especially at that facility. Makes a little bit of a statement in the town that, hey, we're doing the right thing here. The one bad thing about solar on a roof is you don't see them. My customers don't see them. So having that visibility, having that carport, I think is, it makes a statement in the community that you're moving forward. So I think there's something to be said about that. I would not say drastically. It all depends what kind of tenant load you pick up. They would go up to a degree, but when the improvements are done, your biggest load is going to be just conditioning that space. And just from a humidity standpoint, you still need to condition it. So the incentive is always going to be there to pick up additional tenants. I just don't feel like, unless you really put that lab back to hard work, that you're going to see a huge uptick. Really what you're going to pick up is some thermal mass and computer loads. So it shouldn't be significant.
So when you talk about these efficiency upgrades and like you just said, the things that we need to fix and installing the LED lighting, are those projects that we pay for? Okay, no?
All included in that power purchase agreement.
Okay.
So that's what I really like about a power purchase agreement, is it allows us to get really custom. A few of these facilities need electrical service upgrades, primarily because they've got to be brought up to standards to incorporate with solar. Alliance says, hey, if you're going to do this, you got to bring your metering up to standards. So we address and clean up some switch gear along the way. So it adds value to a project there. Not all, like this building is up to standard, it's all remodeled, but a few of these, so that's included in there. Lighting upgrades. This one, there's quite a bit of work in there to get that 22,000 number to kick
Okay,
off.
thank you.
So, yep. Monitoring. So one thing about solar is it's a little bit different than wind. Wind, you can tell when a windmill's not turning. It just, it doesn't look like it's working. So all of our inverters are tied to the internet. We will give you access to that, something that you could put on a monitor just like this and show community members how the system's doing. just good PR piece. We obviously use it from a troubleshooting standpoint. We're continually logging into your systems, making sure that they're going to perform like we say they do. We feel like we're set ourselves, apart from our competitors by doing that. I've got a guy in the office that every 3 to 4 weeks, he's logging into all of our systems and updating a spreadsheet to check their production values. So pretty good value he adds to the company. So our team, Terry Dvorak is with Red Lion Renewables. He would be the actual piece that would bring everything together. He brings the investor to the table, and he's the one that administers the power purchase agreement. He's the one that puts the insurance on the systems. He provides the owner maintenance agreement with the system. In a conventional agreement, Terry would be here tonight, being he's coming out of let's call it Des Moines. So he's more than willing to come down, make a trip, and meet everybody when the time's right. However, Terry and I have done enough together. It's not uncommon for me to come in and take the lead on it. So Terry, every solar system that I referenced as an example, Terry owns all of those except for 2. The Keokuk Y is actually a local investor that owns that system. And regional planning is not Terry's. Everything else Terry has been behind with us. He's a great partner. I think we have 14 projects together. Of course, myself, I wear a lot of hats in the different companies, but I will tell you, first and foremost, large scale solar is top of my priority. That's why I'm here tonight. I would be effectively your project manager, your main contact through the company, through the project. And then Brock Umtham is my inside support that helps with the design and all the coordination with Lion Energy. Blake is our IT guy that I referenced earlier as far as monitoring the systems. And then Nate Jones would be our foreman. I think this slide's important so you know how dedicated to the project we are. And like I said, I personally would be the lead on the project of this magnitude. So. Any questions for me? Any more? And I I'm embarrassed. I totaled that number up earlier. I think the total savings, $45,000 in year 1 savings is what we're looking at.
What would happen if we had to do some roof repair and panel that you're for a month, 2 months, whatever, but you have repair?
Good question. So the system would, if it needed to be down for that long, we'd want to notify Terry, say, hey, here's what we got to do. He'd deploy a crew to come in, relocate them, and bring them back. There'd probably be a fee associated with that. So we don't want to put them on an end-of-life roof. I don't think, was there one that we worried about?
I don't know what the public safety building down there, I don't know what the condition of that roof is.
Okay.
Last time was something done with it. This building and the Citizen are both have new roofs.
Yep.
The 212 Des Moines Street building down there, that roof is not new by any means. I don't know if it's in life.
Is that membrane or is that our standing
Steel.
steel? Yeah, we love steel roofs. They're usually hold up forever. Membranes, if we catch them on the front side of the life cycle, no problem. But as far as the labor aspect goes, no new equipment purchases to speak of. Labor, a lot of your labor is just your infrastructure, getting everything brought up and getting to the roof. So relocate, typically how we would do that is move half the array over, let the roofers come in, shuttle it over. It's really not that labor intensive to do that. So we've had to do it a couple times on asphalt shingle roofs. But actually those are following up other contractors. I'm not going to put solar on a roof that's in the life. You know what I mean? I'm just going to tell you, let's get a new roof on it or move past it. So.
And the public safety building, if we was to do something with that down the road, we kind of briefly discussed that. If we was to do away with the building, what would happen there?
You want to have a 20-year strategy with everything that you put solar on. So the only risk as an owner is you want to make sure that your strategy is there. Now, solar power purchase agreements are fully transferable. So if the day comes that the City Center sells down the road or the fire station sells to a private entity, you can certainly sell that solar system with it or the remainder of that power purchase agreement. If your strategy with a property is less than 10 years, I would recommend don't do it. But if you feel like that you're going to maintain ownership of that building and just repurpose it, maybe evaluate what that usage would look like and just continue to move forward with it.
If the usage load is dropping, that building because of repurposing.
You're buying power that you would not want to consume. So if I were you, I would get creative by recreating that load. If it turns into, let's say, a public works building or something like that, make sure that your block heaters are there. Of course, by then, electric vehicles are going to be predominant. I don't know that you would want to talk about what that usage could look like, and if that makes sense.
So if our usage goes down, what does that do to us if we're not?
You're buying power through a power purchase agreement that you're effectively not using. So you don't want to get into that scenario if you can help it. So replenish that consumption. Like I said, make a load shift, car chargers, change your heat source. I've run into one situation. It was a real heavy commercial user. They turned into more warehousing, so their lighting usage went down. So they went from a gas furnace to a heat pump and recreated it that way. So it made good sense for those folks.
So do we have any more questions, guys? Because we have another presentation. So do you
I
have
have
any more you
questions,
need to
but I
tell us?
can ask them later.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, pass them along to the mayor or I, and we'll pass them along.
Okay, I'll send you my list.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Item number 2 on the workshop agenda is bike lane pilot projects. We're getting ready for it here.
Okay, you do have a mouse?
Okay.
So you can run it from up here.
Okay.
Instead of having to look down here.
Yeah, that works a lot better. Good evening. My name is Kancha Tiwari. I am with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission, and I was at the council meeting last year, May of 2021, about healthy community design. So the reason why I'm here tonight is, well, there's 2 reasons. One is to share our experience working with a pop-up demonstration that we did on Messenger Road last fall. To kind of share the survey results we did and what we learned from that demonstration. And then the second reason for me being here is to discuss a proposed pop-up demonstration on High and Concert Street. So I want to talk about the project background. Why are we doing this? What is the project that we implemented on Messenger Road, and then also discuss the proposed bike pedestrian temporary pop-up demonstration on High and Concert Street. And then lastly, I would discuss a little bit about next steps and all the things we need to do to make that happen. So we have a grant with Iowa Department of Public Health, and we have had a very good partnership with the Department of Public Health. This is our year 3 working with them on basically educating our communities, our counties about creating more walkable, bikeable environment in the community. So any policy changes, any systematic changes, any environmental changes that would help establish that, a safe bike and pedestrian infrastructure for the residents in the communities. So the grant basically helps pay for education piece of that. So in the previous years, the grant basically focused on low-income seniors, on how to get them involved into biking, into walking, how to make an active transportation environment for them. But this year, they're targeting youth. So 4th through 8th graders is what the grant is targeting on, again, because they're going to schools, they're going to parks, they're going to libraries. So it would make sense to target that audience in the community.
So I will talk a little bit about the past 2 years, what we've done with this grant and what progress we've made so far. So we partnered with Mark Fenton. He is a very nationally recognized bike and pedestrian infrastructure advocate. He's really into public health. He's really renowned, and we partnered with him to do a series of webinar, and we had participation from City of Keokuk staff. This was probably 2020 is what I'm thinking. Keokuk Area of Chamber. We had participation from the Y here in Keokuk. And then, of course, Lee County Public Health was also involved. So what he did was we got this group together. Of course, it was the COVID season, so we had to do a lot of things virtually now. But his whole idea was to do a walk audit, which he is great at. But of course, with the situation given, he couldn't come down to do that. So instead, what we did was he called it a photo voice activity. And what that meant was all the participants were asked to go out in their neighborhoods and recognize any good things they see in terms of sidewalks, connectivity for pedestrians, any bad things that they see, or any surprises that they come across. So what the group did was they reported back on the webinar, and there were a lot of recommendations, a lot of good ideas on where we could have a crosswalk, on where we could have a bike lane, on where we could have the posted speed limit probably lower than what it is right now. So this is all coming from the public that we heard, and he basically put a report together, which was called Healthy Community Design. And it basically had a ton of recommendations for the community, including, again, those policy, systematic, environmental changes. And I will touch on those a little bit. So he had a lot of recommendations about the city adopting complete streets policy. Again, like visibility, sidewalks, crosswalks, just a lot of things. But the one thing that stood out to us was creating demonstration bike and pedestrian lanes. So what that means is we create a temporary bike and pedestrian lane, which means we would use chalk paint, duct tapes, just anything that sits out there for probably a week, and then with a wash of rain, it just goes away. So why we like this idea is because it helps us to test out a project before the city puts in the money, puts in the resources to do it. So like I said, we have that grant money to make this happen, and we partnered with the city the last time around too. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Pam and Robert, because they helped us a lot set it up and take it down as well, was I was not expecting the city to kind of take over the project. So it came out really well. It's just a good way for the city to test out these projects, and they're really inexpensive. We're pretty much paying for it to do it. And then this way we get responses from the residents, see if they like it, maybe they don't like it, maybe they like the idea, but they want to see a different location for this project. So one of the recommendations, again, from that report that I just talked about, was having an advisory or a pedestrian lane on Messenger Road. So this is coming from that public input process we did. We thought it was a good spot because, again, there is high pedestrian traffic, a lot of people going on bikes because, again, there's a school there, there's SCC there. It just made sense to kind of test out a project here and see how people receive it. This is just a snapshot of the project that we did last fall. We called it a protected or buffered two-way bike lanes. And these are just some of the pictures from that demonstration. So what we did was, it was a two-way bike lane, and then there was a 2 feet buffer with vertical delineators. So which means it makes it protected in case there is somebody on their bike or is wanting to walk, because there is, of course, no sidewalk here that you can see in the picture. And this is right between SCC and Hawthorne Elementary School. We did put up some signs there. And then Keokuk Area Chamber of Commerce hosted a bike rodeo in September. And this was a very good opportunity for us to let everybody know that this is happening, to encourage everyone to go test it out, and then again, fill out that survey, because that's the only way we can hear back on what people like about it or do not like about it. This is the survey, it was very simple. It just asked about people's experience using the bike lanes, or if they like the project, but they wanted to see something like this, maybe at a different location. So we kept it very simple, very fast and easy to go. So this was available online, as well as in hard copies at the bike rodeo, because we handed them out to the kids and the parents and everybody. So the big question is, what did we learn from this? There were mixed survey responses. So we got about 70 responses on the survey itself. A lot of them were online, and people were, really responsive to go online and fill those out. Mostly, for the most part, it seemed like people did like the idea of having a bike and pedestrian lane, or at least a sidewalk on Messenger Road, at least for the one block that we did have the bike lanes on. What people did not like was the vertical delineators, because they felt like, of course, being the school right there, people are speeding anywhere, and I think the posted limit probably is 30, 35. Okay, 25. And I have seen people just fly by, at least most of the times that I'm there. So that's something that's new, of course, because we are looking at this as not just people using the bike lanes, and we might see, okay, no one's using the bike lanes, why do we need this? But the whole idea behind projects like this is that it's a traffic calming measure, right? So you're asking the drivers to keep their eyes on the street and make sure that they slow down, especially when it's so close to the school, when it's so close to SCC. There might be students walking by. Of course, with no sidewalk there, we want to make sure that it's a safe environment for everybody. So that's what we learned from it. And maybe if we just had the one-way bike lane, it would have still been okay. And we did look at the state recommendations from Iowa Department of Transportation, and we came up with the design. And again, like Robert helped us with everything, implementing the project, putting down the delineators and everything else. But for us, it seemed like if we did away with the delineators, or maybe did just the one-way bike lane with just a 4-feet bike lane, it would have been received a lot better than what it was.
One of the reasons, I just want to add, the reason that we put it on that side is because of garbage pickup.
Yeah.
It's not because we thought it was the best design and we thought it was the best
Right.
way to do it. It's because we didn't want it to
Yeah.
interfere with garbage pickup with the delineators. So there's other things that go into account when we're testing things out like this, but I think we did learn a lot, actually.
Right.
Did
And
you,
like I said, it's just, sorry, somebody was asking.
I was going to say, did you end that project early?
We did. So we were thinking probably a week. So
Mhm.
it was just paint. So it would have washed out anyway. But with the delineators, I think we discussed to keep it out a week probably when the bike rodeo happened. And then because we were getting so many people were calling and they were saying that they didn't like the idea of the delineators again. So when the delineators were gone, everything was fine because the paint was still there. So that's what we think. If we probably didn't have the delineators, it would have been a little bit more space for the traffic to move. So any other questions?
Yeah, did you, I know Pam and Robert were part of just in the conversations of deciding on Messenger, and you did studies and things like that. Did the school district and all get involved?
The school was, they were at the bike rodeo, but I don't know if they were
They did
involved.
invite, I know that for a fact.
Yeah, they were, Heather was there.
Heather was at the bike rodeo.
Yeah,
She's not
but-
the principal there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But we had, Heather was the representation sort of from the school district.
Heather Davis?
Yeah, Heather Davis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I only asked because I know a lot of people used it as a lot of people thought it was a turning lane to go into Hawthorne. We do K through 3 there at that in particular school. So not that some of them are not riding their bikes alone to school, especially
Right.
probably those kindergarten and first graders, maybe some second and third graders. I have a second and third grader
Yeah.
and I live a couple blocks from there. I wouldn't let them ride. I didn't know. I was interested to see it. And I'm glad we got results, a decent amount of results from it. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I remember that, yeah. Right.
We had to spend the money before the grant deadline.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons
Time
too.
that come up that you're like.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
It was confusing.
yeah, it was just a lot of things at the same time.
I had a lot of people contact me and said that they was tickled to death that the city was putting a turn lane in for Hawthorne because there's so many mothers pulling in there. I didn't know, and I had to call City Hall to find out. So I thought, wow, we're doing some good here.
I agree. I think,
It was way too wide for that street. I had two people that I know of contact me that they hit a mailbox with their mirror because somebody crowded them over it. The lanes were too tight. I went out and actually measured it. We lost well over a third of the street to these two bike lanes. So that was a big concern. That was what I got more complaints about. I actually probably got as many complaints on that as I do on potholes in the city. Why they picked me instead of somebody else to call, I have no idea.
no,
But I did go out and measure them, measure the lanes. I've seen a lot of, I've worked in West Des Moines in several different places, and I've seen the bike lanes, and I've seen how they're done, and they seem like they're done pretty good. I don't see them on busy streets, super busy streets. I'm gonna tell you right now, High and Concert have me concerned because of those are racetracks. Believe it or not. I mean, that's just the way I can run down at 25 mile an hour and I'm sitting still compared to a lot of people. And it irritates me and it scares me when kids are riding their bikes with the traffic as it is now. I think we need bike lanes. I want to see them out doing it. I think Hawthorne, if he's going to do that, we need to designate a different street. There's not many kids like Linda was saying that
Yeah,
really bike that area, maybe another area. I definitely think we need hiking and biking trails. We definitely need them in this town and in this area. My concerns picking out the high traffic areas, I have a lot of concerns with that.
I agree with, and one of the things I found on Messenger, because it's right on the edge, or it's in 7th Ward, but I travel it quite a bit, going out there, as a lot of us probably do, because it was just a short distance, and I know it was a trial and a demo, it was such a short distance, I think it confused people. I would be concerned putting it on High and Concert too, because it's such a long stretch that it would be, if it's very similar to this, it's going to cover maybe a block,
Right.
maybe 2 blocks. So then you're going from traffic being able to drive side by side to potentially being pushed, like we saw on Messenger, to over for a little bit and then back. And I'm afraid that it would confuse our vehicles,
yeah.
and our drivers.
So this is what we were thinking for High on Concert Street. So High is northbound, Concert is southbound, right? So High already has parking on the one side. So our idea was to either put just a one-way bike lane without the buffer. But then it again comes down to the safety. Like you said, if there's kids on the street, would I be okay with my kid being on the street on a bike without any buffer? Or the second option would be to do sharrows, which means just a signage with a bike on it. And this just shows the connection. This is just a potential connection that we're looking at. We haven't really discussed or decided how many blocks we would be doing this. But the idea is to connect Washington Elementary School down to Keokuk Park and the library. And the reason is, again, with the Keokuk Library Park coming up with its expansion, we will be seeing more traffic, more pedestrians, more kids wanting to bike, to walk to the library, to the park. So maybe we put sharrows, or if we put bike lanes, not do the buffer, not do the two-way, just put a single bike lane, probably on High Street, and not even think about doing bike lanes on Concert, and just do sharrows. So a sharrow sign would look something like, I wish I could show my cursor, but it's basically a bike sign letting people know that there might be bikes or people walking, so they are just aware that they need to slow down.
I think in many big cities, at least when I lived in Austin, most of those bike lanes are not, they don't have a barricade, or on a busy street, they might have like a speed bump, but you
Right.
essentially can drive in it if there is no.
Right.
So I think that that would be fine. And if
Right.
if your kid is out riding their bike down the street, hopefully they know some road safety. So I just don't see a barricade the whole way. We have kids riding
Right.
in the middle of the street now.
Right.
So
So there's kids anyway.
this at least
that's what
gives
we
them a
discussed.
lane
Right.
with a line to follow.
So it just gives you a little bit of more safe space to bike or walk in that case. So we're thinking not doing the delineators, just do the one bike lane to test out and see, because it would definitely make it safer. And again, for the drivers, it's like, even if you see the arrow signs, you're like, okay, is there a bike coming? So you technically in your mind just kind of slow down automatically. So it's just making that, small changes, not making any permanent changes, making just temporary changes for now, maybe put those arrow signs, and then see what response we get. One thing I did want to mention was this block group where the library and the school is. There is high concentration of kids. So 30% of the population is under 18 years of old, which means, again, there's a good chance that they will be, again, with the, depending on the weather, they're on their bikes or walking to the school or to the park or to the library.
So you plan to do it again during the school year?
So our plan was, and we haven't decided internally, we need to have more meetings for this. We were thinking May, right before the school break, probably, because it would give for the bike rodeo, because the Keokuk area Chamber of Commerce, they're planning to do another bike rodeo. And the plan is to host it somewhere close to the school. So that way we can have all the kids and the parents there, let them know that this is happening if they wanted to test it out. So May is what we're thinking. We don't have a set date yet, or the location for that matter. But that's what we are planning to do for now. Yeah.
I'm going to have to interrupt here again, be the bad guy, but we're going to have to get ready to start the council meeting. So if we have any more questions about this, can you give them to Cole or I, and we'll get them to you?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you so much.
Well, you can stand there.
Yay.
Okay, it's okay. We're not ready to start yet, are we? Okay. Oh.
E-L-I-E. Uh-huh. Looks just like mine. Oh, it's time. Are we ready? Here we go. I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting, April 7th, 2022, 501 Main Street at 6:30 PM. Tonight we have a guest speaker, sort of. She's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This is Lorelei Marshall. We all stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Continue. And to the republic.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Lorelei. Item number 3, roll call.
Crenshaw,
Here.
Altai,
Here.
Garcia. Here. Wynn. Here. Malenthal,
Here.
Andrews,
Here.
Marsden,
Here.
Bryant,
Here.
Greenwald,
Here.
9 present.
Item number 4, mayor's correspondence. I have a few things tonight. Friday, April 15th, if you have your garbage picked up on Fridays, it will not be picked up that day because it is Good Friday, so make sure you get it out on Thursday, April 14th by 7 a.m. April 23rd, it's a Saturday. It'll be Showboat Saturday night at the Keokuk Catholic Schools, and if you need any details, please feel free to call them. April 30th, we have Tombstone Tune-Up at the Oakland Cemetery. It starts at 8 a.m. If it should rain or we have bad weather, they will move it to May 14th. We have Citywide Cleanup coming up in May 10th through May 14th, and you can pick up your 2 free vouchers for the landfill at City Hall after May 4th. These are for people in the city of, residents in the city of Keokuk who pay their garbage through their water bill. And then on May 6th, on Friday, May 6th, the United Way is having a golf outing. This is one of their major fundraisers for the year. And if you want any details, please contact Karen at 524-4504. Now we're going to do citizens' requests. So if you have something that you need to speak to us about, please come to the pulpit and talk into the microphone and make sure you state your name. Okay. Item number 6, the consent agenda. We have minutes of the council workshop and regular city council meeting of March 17th, 2022. Minutes of the special council meeting of March 31st, 2022. Resolution approving a liquor license for the Cellar, 29 South 2nd Street, effective April 14th, 2022. Class C liquor license with Sunday sales. Resolution for a Class C liquor license for Hy-Vee Incorporated, 5-day event for the Keokuk Catholic Schools, 2981 Plank Road, effective April 21st through the 25th of 2022, depending dram. Sidewalk display permits for 2022 to 2023, Keokuk Area Convention and Tourism Bureau, Eklund Motors, Simply Home, Dan's Pawn and Gun, Family Discount Furniture, Angelini's Pizza, Gate City Seed Company, Cahill Pribble Jewelry, and the Athletic Center. Motion to pay the bills and transfers listed in registers number 52063 through 520 65. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7, motion to remove from the table approving the second reading of an ordinance adding new chapter 9.90 regarding operation of off-road utility vehicles and golf carts. Motion, do I have a motion to amend the ordinance?
No, yeah, motion to take it off the table.
Do I have a motion to take it off the table?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? So now I need a motion to, we need to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that's passed. Now we need a motion to amend the ordinance, and this will be, do we have a,
I would ask that staff review the amendment before the motion to amend.
Okay, so the actual amendments that were made per council discussion was adding Carbide Lane to Plank Road, remove Grand Avenue from the prohibited travel list, remove bike flag from UTVs, add slow-moving triangle sign from the UTVs, or I'm sorry, add that to UTVs, and that is also required for golf carts, bike flags, and slow-moving signs. There is one other, a couple actually, that's not on your copy. Mr. Woodruff, Bob Woodruff, actually reviewed the ordinance, and he had some questions for us, so I reviewed it with him. He asked about Boulevard Road from Belknap, so you would have to either, so I've added Boulevard Road in the ordinance, so you cross from Boulevard to Belknap or Belknap to Boulevard. That was not in there. So that's in there at this point. The only other thing is he was concerned about 9.911, registration and insurance. It actually states calendar year instead of fiscal year. He actually gave us some language if we would like to use it. Registration fees will be on a fiscal year basis from July 1st to June 30th and may be paid anytime during the fiscal year to obtain a permit. Said annual fee shall be $75 unless otherwise provided by resolution of the City Council. At the city's discretion, fees may be prorated for partial year permits for the first year registration at a rate of $6.25 per month. Regardless of issue date, all permits expire on June 30th and must be renewed before the time to maintain a valid permit. The permit shall identify the name and address of the owner and/or operator. We can leave calendar year in as it's in there and change it at a later date. Sunset clause was moved to April 30th of 2023.
so do we have a motion to amend the ordinance as presented?
Do we get time for discussion on this?
What's that?
Do we get time for discussion as a council?
Yes.
Right now, right?
Well.
Or after we-
Technically, you should make a motion in second and then debate.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the changes that have been made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I do. I had several calls over the last like 2 weeks since, or maybe it's been 3 weeks. It might have been one of those weird months where we had a couple in the extra in there. Several phone calls from concerned citizens and my ward constituents. One in particular was in this last snowfall, which I think happened over break or spring break for me. Just with UTVs having like a plow attached to them, and then going in the opposite direction of a street already, which I know is illegal, to already be going the opposite direction of the flow of traffic. Now, whether that, my constituent wasn't sure if that was another citizen doing work or a contractor or the city or whatever, but it was a concern. He said that he had to move over or was going to move over for that person. They ended up veering off. They looked like they were doing sidewalks, is what he had said. Again, we had a long discussion about how he was concerned and then how he was basically against doing the UTV and golf cart. And he hasn't been the only one from my ward, had several more, maybe 8 in the last couple of weeks. So again, my desire, like always, is to not waive the third reading and to allow our public and our constituents to get in contact with us. Because even with that said, and voicing his concern here, I also have had on the other side of that, people who want it, who are in favor of it. So I don't want to not say that. I think we've seen it here as council, but at least that other side of it where some people don't want it. I just wanted to be open and honest with you and with my fellow councilmen if you've also heard this thing. And then also it is to our desire, if we want to waive that third reading, I'm opposed to doing that because I do want our constituents to get in contact with us.
Are there any questions on the amendment, though? Any questions on the amendment? Because you'll have time to debate the ordinance as a whole once the vote on the amendment is done.
Okay.
I do have a quick question on the amendment. I know we had discussed making it similar to the county's ordinance where people could get on a prohibited road if it was the only means necessary, as long as they got right off at the next available. Did any verbiage like that get put in? I didn't see it when I read through.
I think with the added streets, I don't know which one we would need to add.
Sorry. I don't know which one we would need to add.
It wasn't for any specific street.
Yeah,
It was
I'm-
just like in generalization.
Yeah,
If
I
you
just
needed
meant-
to go like, a half a block somewhere that technically.
I meant because I had brought it up because of the Navajo Drive
Mhm.
area. So that's why I brought up the county one. I don't think of any street that they wouldn't be able to cross at this point now to get to a
So that would be a moot point then.
I think so.
Okay.
If we're looking at all of the streets, I don't know which one they would absolutely have to get on, and adding that verbiage would, I guess I think it loosens it up a little bit with our highways. And at this point, there's no street that they can't not get to.
Correct. They can cross 13th and 18th. That was put in
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
You're saying they wanted to put in Belknap and,
Belknap was in there, but Boulevard was not.
oh, okay.
So it was just like Plank and Carbide. Carbide was in there, Plank wasn't. So we just wanted to make sure we added.
Well, it wasn't a crossing, but
But you're crossing Belknap to across and then going to Boulevard.
Pam, did you say that part of that ordinance now that the prorated fees are in there or they are not?
They are not at
Okay.
this point.
But that's something that can be added, like if someone, the middle of,
Well, what I just read to
Yeah.
you, you can use that as part of the amendment if you wish.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions? We'll have a roll call.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Altair,
Aye.
Garcia, Nguyen,
Aye.
Ellenthal,
Aye.
Andrews,
aye.
Marsden,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Okay, so now we have to have a motion to approve the second reading as amended by the presentation. Do I have a
So
Motion.
moved.
Do we have any discussion?
I do. I have something I'd like to bring up. I just want to be clear. Is this a temporary thing we're looking at for 1 year? Okay. With that being said, I've had 3 times more people get a hold of me telling me they didn't want it than do want it. So I've been fighting with this one. Because I'm like Linda, and I'm sure all the rest of you have people on both sides of it. So with this being a temporary 1-year deal, I'll probably go along with it and actually go against a number of people just so we can all give it a fair trial, and that's what I told them I was probably going to do, and to give them a fair shake, and hopefully it works out.
And I was agreed with what you had said too. I had voted no before, but then when they presented it with the sunset clause for 1 year, I will agree with that and then see what happens after that. Yeah, that's the only way that I agreed to it, was with the sunset clause.
Any more discussion?
Cole, I do have a question, or Pam. When we did some calculations on, I guess, revenue on this, did we do this prorated? Was that part of that discussion?
No, it was based upon the full rate.
Full rate, no
Right.
matter when?
But understand that when this idea was originally presented, I think that the revenue was drastically
Yeah.
overstated. I think at $75, I would say take 75 times 30 to 50, and that would be the revenue.
Right. I was just wondering if we needed a prorated, if we can't just do it?
The advantage of a prorated is that if you have somebody that buys one of these after, the start, that they then, 3 months into the fiscal year. So at the end of September and October, they decide they're going to get one because hey, they look fun or whatever, right? Then what it is you could look at it. You don't have to. That's entirely up to the council. I believe the wordage allows us to set that by resolution, correct, Pam?
It does. Registration fee shall be due July 1st of each year. Said fee shall be $75 unless otherwise provided by resolution of the city council.
Right.
Because it's a sunset clause, I don't know that if we're going to revisit it, I'm sure that there's going to be lots of things that you learn in that first year that will need to be amended at this point. Pay for the year. Even at fiscal year, you're talking they're going to get a permit if it passes next month and need a new one July 1st. If it goes fiscal year. I just don't know the point of doing that. A person in the sunset clause would need 2 permits.
Well, what it is if the sunset clause ends April 30th.
I'm just saying a 12-month, you're starting it's a 12-month ordinance. Right now, that's what we're getting. You're getting a 1 year.
Right.
If we're readdressing the ordinance in a year, which we will have to.
Right.
There's going to be lots of, I'm sure, changes or amendments or.
So do understand that as of right now, when somebody buys that permit, that it'll be good from now until April 30th of next year. However, if council extends, what I would suggest is we then make that permit good until April 3rd or June 30th, because
Oh, yeah.
because of the 2 months, right? So, I don't know if the first year you're going to necessarily need prorating. You can look at it and evaluate in future years as well. If we get a lot of people coming in going 6 months into a fiscal year going, hey, I like a permit, right? Then we can come back to the council and you can set it by resolution.
So right now, we are going to have a roll call. Are we ready? Any more questions?
I have a question. The potential revenue that we can earn off of this, does it have to go to like a specific part of the budget, or what can we use it for?
It'll go into the general fund.
Okay.
and for any purpose.
Okay. So we could potentially use it for like the streets. It's not going to be very much, but.
Yeah, if we paid for something, if we paid for anything out of the general fund for streets, yes.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, do you want the prorated in there or not?
I would say at this point, no.
I agree.
Agree.
Everybody okay with that? Okay.
Okay, so can we have roll call now?
Crenshaw. Altair.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Nguyen.
Aye.
Hellenthal.
Aye.
Andrews.
Aye.
Marsden.
Aye.
Bryant.
Aye.
Greenwald.
Aye.
Way down there on the South 40. Okay, so now, do we have a motion to waive the third reading of the amended ordinance as presented? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? So it has failed, and we will move on. Item number 8, motion to remove from the table a resolution approving agreement with Community Action of Southeast Iowa. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
To clarify, this is a motion to take it off the table.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
So again, this is part of the ARPA allocation, pledging 32,000 to community action to assist in paying the sanitation portion of delinquent water and sewer bills. Councilmember Crenshaw pointed out that the agreement did not include a way to recapture unused funds should the program end. That clause has been added to the agreement.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 9, consider resolution affirming passage of fiscal year 2022-2023 budget passed on the March 17th, 2022 by a motion. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 10, consider resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed amendment to oh, I already did that one, didn't I? No, I didn't. Consider resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022 budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, we want to discuss?
The amendment formalizes the re-estimates as approved as part of the fiscal year 22-23 budget. A public hearing must be held prior to consideration of the amendment, and staff recommends April 21st, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Even though you adopted the re-estimates as part of the budget, you must formally adopt a budget amendment in order to make them part of the budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 11, consider resolution approving agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
The agreement is for $347,534 in transportation alternative program funds for the Riverfront Trail. This is one of several grants for the trail. There are federal funds these are federal funds dispersed through the Iowa DOT, thereby requiring the agreement.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 12, consider the resolution approving agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers allowing tie down for the swing span for the Keokuk Municipal Bridge. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Is this something, we've already had agreements before, correct, Robert?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just a renewal of the existing agreement that we already have.
I was wondering, Robert, when I was going over it, so it says it's something that happens every 5 years, I think, if I read that correctly, but we don't budget for it?
There's no cost to it.
There's no cost to it. So, and then why, because we're just reliving the agreement that we already had? Is that why we're seeing the old agreement? And even though the dates are wrong, and even though we won't know what 5 years out from that date, we're gonna have to start really keeping track. Will it be updated from a city, like, at least with the dates, you know what I mean? If it's gonna be every 5 years?
There'll be a new one signed, the same verbiage that's in the old one. It'll just be the dates we changed for it.
The dates.
There is no cost. There is nothing on the city. They're just allowing us to put them tie downs on that. It's a peninsula where when the bridge swings, it ties it down. That's
Right.
all it is.
Are there any changes or updates going into this one compared to the one you had before?
No.
It's just a paper trail if,
And as far as-
showing an agreement so that,
As far as us updating it, they send it to us. It's not something that we keep track of. It's something that they keep track of and they send to us.
Okay.
Did they have to inspect the bridge or anything like that?
We take care of inspecting the bridge. This really, we've just attached something to their property, and so this is just an agreement because of that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 13, consider resolution approving proposal from Quara Stone Company LLC for the Keokuk Union Depot Restoration Project. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
As part of the current restoration project at the Keokuk Union Depot, a proposal for exterior stone has been received. The proposal is for $12,320 from Quara Stone Company LLC. A 40% deposit is required as part of the proposal. This project is paid 100% from grants and donations, and we have received a donation already that will cover the deposit. As part of the grant requirement, the stone purchase requires approval by the city council.
Thanks to whoever did that donation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 14, consider resolution approving contract for services with Shara GIS LLC for GIS services. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Discussion?
The city of Keokuk has a online GIS system and a desktop system. It has not been updated since 2012. This contract would get this system updated for sanitary sewer, stormwater, planning and zoning GIS information. I'm going to let Robert speak to what this would be helpful for Public Works.
So this would allow us to be able to go into the field with a laptop, a tablet, and identify sewer, manhole, whatever that they was looking for on site without having to go back and look at a map or try to figure out off somebody's memory where things were at. There's other services I think that this will come along with that we can track when we do sewer jetting, where we do lining of a sewer pipe where we've had problems, where there's any kind of issues will be able to be recorded. It'll also help when the DNR comes back and asks for records. What have you done over the last 3 years, 5 years? If we was to have a lawsuit be filed against the city because there was a backup, we can go back and have the proof showing that we do try to maintain to the best of our ability. Right now, we keep a lot of this on paper, but that's not always accessible when you need it. And for instance, we was looking for a manhole just a few weeks ago for the ADM project that's going on. And we spent probably 3.5 hours traipsing through the woods and found all but one of them that we was looking for. And if we'd have had this, it would give us a lot better exact location, a GPS location of where it's at.
Robert and Pam, currently right now, whose budget does this come out of? You said we've had this since 2012.
So the actual GIS system, what we have through Esri is $700 for a primary, $500 for a secondary, and $2,500 for the online, which we can That's for 5 users. It's $500 per user, and I think we're going to go down to 2 or 3 users on that. So that will take some off of that, but that actually comes out of my budget, Public Works budget, and housing at this point, that $3,700. The actual, so what we would like to see is the gold level on this, which is $600 a month for 1 year. And then we can just go from there if we want to keep the services. That would mainly, because it's a sewer it's
Right.
mainly going to be used for sewer. It'll be coming out of the sewer.
So we would be doubling our budget, what we have budgeted right now. If we were to go up to the gold level, we would be doubling.
Actually, the $600 a month is, I mean, we don't have a month on that one. That's just an annual, the $3,700.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but yes, we would.
Okay. And then, so that yearly expense would have been doubled, and that is coming out of 3 different budgets. Has any of those 3 departments budgeted for that? It didn't, I noticed it wasn't checked off in here. I know we have it coming out of your 3 departments currently right now as is, but when we go up that level, that increase of money, where would that be coming from?
It's going to be coming out of the sewer,
Out of sewer?
yeah.
So just to clarify, there is money in the sewer budget right now for this, or there's not?
There's not money specifically for this, but we've looked through the budget and I don't see any issues with paying for it and still being able to do everything that we're doing right now. It's something that it's going to save us money and time in the long run.
I just wonder if it's something that I agree with it, and I get the mapping, but at the same time, if I do worry if we haven't budgeted for it. I know, trying to look back at it.
To kind of help you with the sewer department's budget is based upon assumptions a lot when we budget that every year.
Mhm.
And we have some contingency money put into the sewer department just for those reasons. With some of the new upgrades that we put in on the lift stations and some of the other repair work that's been done, that has decreased the need to have some of that extra money, but you never know. A sewer collapse could cost us $150,000, $200,000 at any time. A pump in a lift station could be $10,000 or $12,000 at any time. So that money is put into that budget, and I feel pretty comfortable with where we're at right now with the budget that we have. And, next year when we do the budget, yes, we might need to budget that money into it, but I feel right now we've had a good year without having a lot of major breakdowns and a lot of incidents. So I think that we would be fine.
I just wonder later on, and we're not here yet, but coming across the agenda a little bit later is another sewer item coming up. And I know that's not on this current, it'll be on the next one. But again,
That comes out.
it's a maintenance, and we did talk about this as a maintenance kind of issue, keeping up with it instead of letting it, things just fall off, and where we are in, like, now we have to have it. It's an emergency. We need this second, and then we haven't budgeted for it. So I agree. I just wonder what the like, if we could keep at maybe not the gold. What is the difference between the gold level and I know platinum's the top, so silver.
Silver for 5
What does that
hours.
get you?
5 hours per month and 15 hours per month. So is your silver and your gold, and then your platinum is uncapped amount of monthly hours.
Keep in mind.
Understand that what will happen is the reason why we're going to a higher level at this point is so that we can get everything updated.
Yes.
Give them more hours to get everything updated. Once everything's updated, we can drop down and because there's less maintenance, just have them doing maintenance. But right now we have to get it updated. We have to get everything up to snuff. And then once that happens, then it just becomes maintenance.
Right.
This hasn't been serviced since 2012, so you can imagine how far behind this thing is.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, if it hasn't been serviced since 2012 and we've been on it for right now, I understand that we need to update it. I'm just wondering if this is the year to update it with the way that we are right now. That's my only, that's kind of the discussion of it.
There's sufficient funds in the sewer to pay for this.
Right.
It will not be an issue, and it is something that we've needed for a while. But with change in personnel here at City Hall and in other departments, I was not fully aware of what we had. Been looking at other options to try to get something along this lines, and working with Pam, that's how this was brought to light. And so,
And I don't mean to be on it. I just, because I do want to pay attention to, I mean, we are talking about, I know it's just a couple of $1,000s, but still I want to be on top of that couple of thousand because it seems to be fleeting every time. So I just want to make sure that we're all discussing it. Thank
So
you.
If this has been an issue or on your mind for a while, why couldn't it have been something that we did budget for?
So I'm going to be, and I should have put it in my actual memo. So the online, there was some issues with a previous contractor. I am not aware of what those issues were. It was through Bartlett and West. The online, they actually, for whatever reason, and I can't tell you because I didn't, that was Public Works. They were the administrators of the online. I could get on the online, but I could not give anybody permission in the other departments to be able to do anything with it. So I finally, when Robert was asking about trying to get access to it, I reached out to Buster, who actually had worked for this company before. And he was no longer there, but he actually went ahead and gave me administrative over the online account. So we really didn't even have any control over the online account until just recently. We did the desktop, but not the online account. So this is where he can go ahead and come in and update. I mean, we can wait on, that's not an issue with me. It might be with Robert.
My only
but-
concern is we've just now entered April, pretty much adopted a budget, and we're already talking about adding an expense that we didn't plan for. So that's just what I'm on the fence about.
you as a council can go whichever direction you want to go, but I'm going to tell you, this is very, very, very important to our sewer department.
Robert, in your expertise here, will spending the $4,000 roughly to get this done come back to the city in savings through employee efficiency and not having to spend 3.5 hours searching the woods for a manhole in
Absolutely.
the future?
So
it could pay for itself. In the first
not
year.
only will it save us time on trying to find that, we've got new employees in the sewer department that are not familiar. So we've got a map that's, I don't know, it's 15 feet wide by 12 feet tall. That is the main map that these employees use. And so they have to go to the sewer department, look at this map, try to determine where the line's at, then go out to the field and do a locate. And this locate might be at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's very difficult to do when you're unfamiliar with the system. And when I say an experienced person to do that locating is someone that's probably been with the city more than 5 years in that department. So they'll be able to take this laptop or tablet, I guess it's not a laptop that we're using, it's a tablet, and take it right to where they're standing, have the image directly in front of them and be able to relate that to the area that they're working in. So if we mislocate a sewer and a contractor hits that sewer, that becomes our responsibility to fix that.
I just did a job for you guys on the south side of town, and we had this discussion, and had this been up and that section been done, would have saved me about 6 hours as a contractor. And it was deep and it was dangerous and it was in a tight location. There's a lot of unknowns, and as a contractor and also as knowing the city, the money's already there. The money's already in the sewer department. This is a tool they need.
It'll be a night and day difference for
Definitely.
the employees in the sewer. I mean, myself, only having 1.5 years experience, I've got another employee that's got less than a year and another employee that's got less than 2 years. I mean, it takes a long time to learn the infrastructure of the city. And I mean, you're going from, like Robert mentioned, to basically hand-drawn map on the wall at our shop to having all the information at our fingertips. It's considerable
And,
upgrade.
and my issue isn't with the reasoning behind why we need it, but what was given to council in that contract does not specify the difference between platinum, gold, or silver and what we are already benefiting or what we could have benefited. So I know you can check if you want platinum, gold, or silver, but it doesn't go into detail on what we are getting out of those.
It did say the amount of hours that he'd do, and it would say the overage charges if you
And
had to go over.
Linda, he also indicates that he will do remote training with us, which he will teach us how to use it to better be, just like the last couple of days. I spent pretty much all day yesterday, and I shouldn't have had to. We're going to do a blight, the blight slum study. So I needed all the addresses within several block area. Well, actually, from 1st to 14th. It was a nightmare trying to get all those addresses. I did finally go to the Beacon site. Went ahead and drew my lines to do that. But when I downloaded it, it actually downloaded addresses for me to send. It was a mailing address, so it didn't give me all the addresses. It gave me the addresses to mail it to. So I ended up having to do it pretty much by, just going through the computer, checking the addresses. And it pretty much took me all day. And if I would have known how to actually use the GIS like I should, I could have probably done it in 5 minutes.
And that training would only come with that gold level.
No, I don't know if that, he just states project background.
Okay.
There's 3 options here. The 5 hours is not going to give you a lot of time. He's mainly going to probably use that working on updating it.
I see.
We
The costs-
anticipate that we'll be able to cut this back. This is just going to be, we're that far behind with this to get it up to speed. And as far as being able to afford it in the budget, paying for this is just the same scenario would be if I had a pump go down in a lift station or I had a transmission go out of a truck. That's basically that same cost. When we do our budget, we don't budget down to the last dollar. Like I said, the sewer department, Tom's wastewater treatment, we have to budget in what ifs because there is so many in that department.
I
And
mean,
so
the cost sounds pretty reasonable too for GIS with my experience with it. Currently, they're running about $250 an hour. So at 15 hours a month, almost $4,000. So it sounds like it's a reasonable price if it's, reputable. And I'm sure that it is. You guys have looked into it. So I think that the cost sounds pretty good for the amount that you're getting out of it.
And I believe Pam talked to him also that we can cancel this. We're not locked into just a year is what we're locked into.
Yes, we're locked into a year. He actually, in the contract, it was automatically renewed if for 3 years. And I just asked him to please take that verbiage out of there. There were several things that I'm sure it was just a normal contract language, but I wasn't comfortable with it. So he did change those for us. And we are also going to, tell him once you get to the 15 hours, stop. No more for the month.
Keep in mind too, that this last company that Pam discussed earlier, Bartlett and West, has pretty much held us hostage since 2013 with the money that was spent to get this thing to this point. And there, in my understanding, whether I'm right or wrong, this is what I understood, was that there was a disagreement on the charges. And the city stood their ground and said no, and this company stood their ground and said no, and so they just limited to what we could do. Pam's put a lot of work into this, and I'm very grateful for the point that we've gotten to with it. And like I said, it's I've been working with Pedestrian Kim and several other ones since I started at the sewer department to try to get this exact type of information to us, and not knowing that we already had it. We just, like I said, they've held us hostage. We kind of lucked out that this guy went off on his own. Pam was able to contact him, and we're moving forward with it, hopefully.
Do we have any more questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 15, consider resolution approving supplemental agreement with Geotechnics for a runway 1432 lighting project. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
As part of the runway 1432 lighting project, a quality assurance testing firm needs to be engaged. McClure Engineering, our engineering firm on the project, advertised and received RFPs for the service. Geotechnics is a subsidiary of Klinger Associates, and McClure is recommending approval of a contract for services with Geotechnics. All costs are funded 100% through grants.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 16, consider resolution authorizing the purchase of the 2022 Vector 2100i sewer cleaner. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Robert? Mike?
We're asking to purchase the new Vector truck that we discussed not too long ago. We've been informed that they're still holding the chassis for us right now. If we so choose not to move forward with it, we're guaranteed there'll be a 6% increase if we was decide in 6 months from now that we want to purchase the truck. If you want me to go back through what we talked about before, I mean, it's a truck that it's one of our main pieces of equipment that's used in the sewer department. The truck that we're currently using is a 2008. Since the last meeting that we was in here and I talked to you about it, it's been in the vehicle maintenance for 3 to 4 weeks now, waiting on parts and to get some repairs. And it's not that the truck is so outdated that you can't get parts, but with the world the way it is right now, we're struggling to get the equipment running again.
Robert, is this the only one we have for this?
We have two of these trucks.
There's a smaller one in there.
The other one's smaller, and there's quite a few differences between the two trucks. This truck here does more volume. You know, just the debris body, there's you know, the debris body size in gallons, the 2008's a 3,000 gallon. The other truck that we have is a 600 gallon. You know, the water flow. So the water flow, you know, when we jet in the lines, that's a big difference. This truck here does 80 gallons per minute. The smaller truck does 40 gallons per minute. The smaller, go ahead.
The best way to maybe describe it, I mean, this is our primary truck. We have the secondary truck that's a smaller truck. They're both capable of doing the same task, just at different volumes and different speeds. If we were to have a backup at 2 o'clock in the morning and I have to call guys in, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go get that big truck, and that's the truck they're going to use. I mean, it's more capable of doing more jobs than the other truck.
But if the other truck wasn't working, the other one would do the job.
It would do the job. Just like currently now, we've been using the smaller truck.
Whether it was 2 o'clock or not, it would do it.
It's capable.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there is times, a lot of times that we use both trucks at the same time. We have our jetting lists that we work on throughout the year, and on several given days, both trucks will be out running at the same time jetting lines. I mean, it's not that we use one truck or the other. I mean, they both have a job.
By agreeing to purchase it earlier, does that help bring it in below budget?
Yes.
If we don't purchase it now, it won't be brought in at budget.
No.
minimum.
Yeah.
I might,
Monday's the cutoff, I'm sorry. Monday's
You're
the
fine.
cutoff to order this truck. At this price. I mean, we can wait, but Monday is the cutoff at this price.
I might have a weird question, but is there a reason for buying like a 2022? Like, are we as a city required to only buy brand new equipment? Because like, I'm thinking most people don't go out and buy a brand new car, they buy used, because it's cheaper. So is that not an option, like for city liability or anything like that? Or do you only buy brand new vehicles?
Well, what I'm going to tell you is this is specialized equipment
Mhm.
and people are going to be, and the companies and the people that are using these are probably going to trade them in like we are when they're, how old is this one?
2008.
So like 14.
We're going to be they're going to be turning in, which means that there isn't something out there like with a used car, you can get one that maybe is 2-3
Yeah.
years old, doesn't have many miles on it. In the case of these things, the reason why they're getting traded in is because it's time to trade them in.
Okay, I was just wondering, like,
I
I
know.
didn't know when you're out there shopping for them, if there's like a 2018 that's $20,000 less, or if there's even a trade-in option for anything like equipment like this.
When somebody gets rid of one of these, it's
Mhm.
because they're in the same position we're in. Now, this truck will not go to the scrapyard. It'll go to a town like West Point, Iowa. It'll go to, some town that does not rely on it.
And you get the warranty with the new piece of equipment versus the used piece.
And there are instances where we have looked at used equipment. It depends upon what the piece of equipment is, what the use is, and what we think the value of that used equipment is.
So you've traded in like these vehicles before, so 14 years, is that pretty standard on average on time to trade them in?
About 15 years is the
Okay.
average. But when you say 15 years, yes, it depends on how much it's used, how well the maintenance has been done on it.
Robert, was this part of the discussion that when we had this, that this potentially next year's budget could put sewer into, is that not, were we
That's
talking about a recycling?
that was
sanitation?
sanitation.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I'm thinking correctly on it. Okay, got it.
And this will come out of the 2023 budget. It's just if we're going to order it to stay there, we're asking for it now.
Can I ask how old the other truck is? Like if it's also 14 years old and we have to buy another one next year?
It's a 2016.
Okay,
I would be more inclined to run that truck longer, and if it had a breakdown, would be less of an impact than what this truck is.
okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, item number 17, consider resolution authorizing an agreement for engineering services for River Road, Prices Creek Bridge rehabilitation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Robert?
So this is a project that's been on the CIP for several years. The bridge deck on the River Road Bridge is delaminating, and that means it's coming apart. That allows moisture to get down into the actual bridge deck itself, and that gets into the structure. We're looking at, I had the engineer give me 3 different possibilities of what we could do. But this is just for the engineering part of it, to do from the bridge down to Athens Avenue and redo that intersection. We also looked at the possibility of going to where the county stopped with their concrete road surface and going from there all the way to Athens Avenue. So, but the bridge needs the work done to it before the deterioration gets down into the actual structure of it, and then we have a lot more cost down the road. I have the reports here from 2020 that clearly states what the inspector, when they did the bridge inspection, states on. I think I included that into the,
So this is just amount of the cost for the engineering.
this is just for the engineering, yes.
It's well under what was estimated. The estimation was done by Mark Busolo, and he estimated 150,000. Yeah, and, yeah, it's well under.
Have you worked with this company before?
They're the company that does all of our
Okay.
roadway bridge inspections every 2 years. And so, yes, they've had a long history with the city. That's the reason we went with them, because
Okay.
they're very familiar with what we have.
So we're to the point now, we either repair it now, or is it going to be many years we will have to replace?
Yes, the moisture, like I said, it shows in that report that the moisture is seeping down through. They go along, we did some tests. We don't feel that there's significant structure damage to it right now, but it's
What
to
kind
that.
of longevity or years do you think that repair will add to it?
I would estimate, we're probably looking at 15 to 20 years would be my best guess on it. We talked about the cost of the engineering being cheaper, but also the cost. I had them give me 3 projected costs for this project, and the 3 different scenarios. One of them is currently in what we've got budgeted now, and the other 2 are above what we budgeted.
So the savings on the engineering could go towards one of those other
Yes.
options.
Any more questions? More discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 18, consider resolution authorizing an agreement for engineering services for underwater inspection of the Keokuk Municipal Bridge. Do I have a motion? Any discussion?
Robert?
So we reached out to 3 different firms that do underwater inspection of the bridge piers. This company was the low bidder. They are also the same company that does the pier inspection on the bridge that's just downriver, the main Keokuk Hamilton Bridge. This work is supposed to be done every 7 years, I believe. I don't have that right here directly in front of me, but we're a little bit overdue. They'll go in with divers, they'll dive down, they'll take readings, do different studies on the pier, and tell us if it's structurally safe or not.
And the reason why we're bringing it up now is that the current staff was unaware that that was something that was necessary. And Majeski and Masters, our company that does the bridge inspections, reminded us that this needs to be done per federal regulations.
Yes.
How often does it need to be done?
Every 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years?
Yeah.
And the last one was in 2011, you said?
When was the last one?
That should be on the,
Yeah.
I thought I had it here in
Yeah.
front of me, and I don't, but
I thought I read that
It
the
should-
inspection was done in
It's on the action
2011.
form.
yeah.
So that was our last inspection.
Yes. We're not overdue by a long ways, but there's a lot of work that needs done to that bridge. If the Majestic Masters inspection that I laid out several months ago, if you look down through there, you can visually see the pictures, you can see the deficiencies that we have, and this is just another one of them. The bad thing about this type of work is you can't see it. They have to go down and actually find it for us. So some of the other stuff we can see ourselves, but I can't hold my breath that long.
I just got on the council when the last report was done. And I don't think this report's going to come in any better than the last one. And the last one wasn't great.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, item number 19. Motion to approve setting a date for a special meeting to hear the appeal by ADM of the revised permit and the administrative order for April 14th, 2022 at 6:00 PM.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do note that ADM did contact us today. They would like to have some negotiations to perhaps negotiate a consent order. If staff has, works with them and comes up with a reasonable compromise, we'd still like to have the meeting, but it might be very short in that you get to approve the consent order versus having to hear the appeal.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 20, boards and commissions.
We have 2 votes today. One is for Veterans Memorial Commission and 3 members of the Historic Preservation Commission. The others are first and second notifications for the Grand Theater Commission and the Veterans Memorial Commission. So I do need an omnibus motion to accept the final notification, final nomination of Scott Martin for Veterans Memorial, and Brenda Bradley, Becky Crenshaw, and Cale Myers for Historic Preservation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 21, staff reports.
Anybody?
All right, we have had some demos going on recently, so, and those came about as more of a need than a want, obviously. We'd rather rehab and restabilize than find ourselves doing demo. But the most recent 1708 concert, we had 3 structures damaged and ruined with fire. We also took down 1000 Fulton, and there was going to be no recovery with that one either. We kind of checked that out pretty well, and the cost to make it, the repairs to stabilize it, just weren't there. 1409 High was also the same, and 920 concert that we did earlier this year was a danger that we should have, we addressed it as immediately as we could, and there was no question, and that needed to come down. We had a lot of kids in that area at GW, so we have some good things going on right now. We have 7 active properties that are making repairs or demoing some accessory buildings that they have. So kind of brought that to their attention, that needs were needed, whether you decide to demo or make those repairs. So they stepped up and they're doing it. So it's really great that they're taking action. We have rehab and the rehabilitation to stabilize the community. What we want to do is stabilize and find these improvements. So we're going to step up and do a registration process with vacant and abandoned properties. We've reached out to many communities, Pam and I have, to review what they've included in their ordinances that would meet what we need for our community. We're trying to take a lot of things into account with what we need. We want to ensure that the city's interest is best reached. We want to ensure that the property owners understand their regulations that we have for codes and what their responsibilities are. So we are going to start this registration property for vacant and abandoned properties. We'd also like to include lot registration. We'd like the council to consider the fee structure that we'd like to move forward with. It's really not like a set amount anywhere in the state of Iowa. It's really a vast levels of fees. So I'll be sending you guys information at the beginning of next week so that we could see what we want to do with residential property, commercial property, so we can get fair rates for people. Also, I'd like the council to take into consideration insurance, escrow, or bond options for the vacant and abandoned property so that we can keep the community's value keep it stable. So I'll send that information out this week. That's about it for right now.
Any questions of Casey?
Thank you.
Robert, Pam, or Tom? Anything extra?
If
anybody's wondering what's going up at
Mike.
2820 Main, that
Mike.
is 2820 Main, the old ICO gas station. That's a billboard going up there if anybody is wondering what's going up there. Linda and I are on a emergency food and shelter program. We met yesterday. There was funding from the CARES Act and phase 39, I believe, of the emergency food and shelter that we are going to distribute $49,972 to 6 different Lee County organizations for emergency food and shelter.
Tom?
We still have foaming issues, but if the wind would calm down, it wouldn't be such a snowstorm down at the plant. Our plant is slowly recovering, but it is getting better. And we've been in compliance a lot more than we had during the middle of March. We're still working on getting things resolved with ADM too.
Real briefly, I'm getting a lot of complaints on the smell at ADM, and that's what I was going to ask you. Are they getting their bugs and system up and running? Are they close? I know they've hauled in.
It's a very slow process, and the other day, I don't remember when it was, I think it was about 5 days ago, they started producing gas. And as far as I know, I haven't heard anything from them since. It'll just keep getting better. More gas, more biologic activity, more digestion, things will get better. They'll stop sending so much stuff down to us and things will improve. And I think that's happening.
Thank you.
So my report, the ICMA Regional Conference, I attended the ICMA Regional Conference a couple weeks ago. There were several very good sessions, including recruitment and retention of employees. The speaker had several good ideas for recruitment that can be used. Job posts need to be beyond descriptions of the duties and qualifications, but also inviting to candidates. So you talk up the job, you talk up the community. The application process needs to be easy. Announcements need to be placed in multiple outlets, including social media and online job sites, as that the younger generation doesn't read the newspapers anymore or take a trade magazine. Then ways to overcome divisions. The speaker talked about methods to increase communication and create inclusion. The various steps provided acknowledgement of concerns in order to help the conversation get to a point where the person that is lodging the complaint is included in attempts to address the situation. RISE grant for the rail bridge. Staff is working with regional planning to submit a RISE grant for planning and design for upgrades and repairs to the rail bridge. The grant is a minimum of $1 million with no match, with necessary repairs to the piers, decking, and mechanical. Our engineers believe the planning and design can be estimated to meet the minimum. By doing the planning and design, it's hoped that our application for RISE construction grant will be strengthened. Legislative items, several bills affecting Iowa cities were passed, with several having negative effects. The governor's workforce housing bill was amended in the Senate to remove the statewide building code, which is good news, and the bill heads back to the House, so hopefully the House will accept the Senate's version. The Department of Management omnibus bill was sent to the governor with the backfill provisions for the business tax credit. The Legislative Fiscal Bureau has determined that the current appropriation of $120 million will only cover the credit through 2030. I sent messages to Senator Reichman regarding the bill, and the only assurance he could give me is that should he still be in the Senate in 2030, he will fight for additional appropriations. A bill was sent to the governor prohibiting Iowa cities from regulating fireworks stands out of commercial zones. Several cities have basically said that if you wanted to set up a fireworks stand, it had to be in an industrial zone. This does not affect our ordinance at this time, but council needs to be aware should any changes be considered in the future. And that's all I have.
I wanted to thank Robert for being available with Public Works, even at all times of the day. Seriously, he is out here helping the city. I know all the staff does a great job, but I'm really thankful for you and your guys. I know that I have a constituent who's talking about a foundation for a street that, I don't know, I was told to ask.
They have spoken with the mayor, and the mayor has asked me several questions, but I do not know where it stands.
We actually met this afternoon with, I met this afternoon with a group of people that are interested. We talked about starting a foundation for South 18th, and then we spoke with Christina, I think her last name's Buchanan, and she is from Iowa City. She is one of our representatives, and she is advised us to wait on doing the foundation because she said she believes that there's a couple of different areas in the government and in the veterans that we could ask for money. And she is going to take that over, and she is also going to look into, if we do start a foundation, if there's a group in her area that in Iowa City that does helps you start your foundation, and they give you the legal fees free. So she's looking into that, and we are going to have a phone conference on next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. I also have talked to a person from the federal DOT that I got just a generalized email from the DOT, you know, that you could look at what they had, what kind of grants they had. And so I just started looking through it, and they had a map, and it was the federal DOT, and they had a map of the last 5 years, the projects they had done, and they had dots in the last 5 years, they have not done any in Iowa or Illinois. So I decided to contact someone on the federal end of it, and I just picked somebody out of the clear blue sky. And the lady that I got was so helpful and kind, and she told me who to talk to at the state level. And I've spoken to the secretary of the gentleman at the state level, and that was last Monday, not this past Monday, but the Monday before. And I got a phone call back, and they were going to send the assistant to this gentleman and a engineer down to look at South 18th. But I didn't, and they said they would get back to me, and I have not heard. So I called today, and she was off in her car going to the bank or something, and she said she would call back sometime next week and let me know what was going on there too. So there's some options, and
I just want people to know that we're diligently working on finding avenues.
we are. Today was a great day for that, and I also have someone from the Veterans Administration getting me all the addresses of all the American Legions in the state of Iowa, and we will be reaching out to them and asking them for donations. We're going to try to do it like $1 for every member that you have, or whatever you want to give us. I also have reached out to ABATE, which is motorcycles across Iowa, and the majority of those are a lot of times veterans, and they will go through the state of Iowa on a project and raise money for that. So I've also reached out to them. I have not heard back from them, but I do know one of the people that is on the board. So there are things going on. I just hold my breath and hope for the next thing to not anything to fall through and everything to keep going. So that's where the South 18th is at right now.
Thank you for doing all of that.
No problem. It's my passion right now. So do we have any other reports? New business? So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? All those in favor?